Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another speed build. Today's video is a bonus speed build for Evergreen Harbor. I do want to say before we get going today that it is currently downpouring rain. Of course, the one time where I'm going to be doing audio for a video, it has to downpour. So if you hear a little bit of noise in the background, I am so sorry. I wish I could control the weather, but I did promise you guys this video today, so I really wanted to make sure that I got it out anyways. I hope it's not too distracting. I'll know in editing if it's a huge problem, but I wanted to try to do this video today anyway. And yeah, today we are going to actually be building a bonus speed build. This is in Evergreen Harbor. So if you actually missed my last video, we are started on the new world and it is Forgotten Hollow. However, I had an idea to come back to Evergreen Harbor and replace one of the lots and make something different that I have available on the gallery for download as a replacement. So today we are working on the Toy Story 2, 3, and 4 house. It is the home that the Davis family moves into at the end of Toy Story 1, and the one that I believe that they stay in for the rest of the Toy Story movies. The reason that this ended up coming about is one of you actually recommended that I do this, so it wasn't totally my idea, but I did realize when I was playtesting Evergreen Harbor, and specifically with the Davis family, that they were going to quickly outgrow that original home, mostly because Molly and Andy share a bedroom, which was correct for the movie, but it means that when they get a little bit older, obviously they're going to want some more space and be more spread out between the two of them. I don't think you could share like a room past being a child. I feel like being a teen and having to share a room with your brother or sister would be really, really difficult. And overall, it was just a very small house. Not to say that this new one is much bigger, but it does offer a little bit more private space for each person. And that means that it is I believe it ended up being a 2-bathroom, 3-bedroom home. Basically, the entire exterior is a replication of the 3 movies combined, and then we have some different references from some Toy Story games that take place at this house, and I definitely used some of those. But I will say right off the bat that the interior for this speed build is particularly short today, just because I did a lot of it on my own. It's not really a replication of anything, and it is just more or less a very typical family residential. So really just getting the outside to match as closely as possible was what was most important to me. And then the inside is very nicely decorated. It's more modernized compared to their previous home. Whereas the other one feels very much like a 90s into early 2000s with the decor and some of the tiling. And I talked a little bit about that in my original Davis family home speed build, how a lot of that house was just maybe choices that I aesthetically wouldn't make for like a home. This one is more updated and uses a lot more brighter colors, some lighter wood tones, and some things that I feel like you would really get with your more modern type of home. The rooms that I was able to replicate were actually Andy's bedroom and Molly's bedroom, so those are going to be included in today's speed build for the interior, and you do get some shots of those when Andy ages up. There's a couple of scenes in, I believe it's Toy Story 3, when the mother is kind of going around cleaning out the house and trying to get everybody to rally and donate toys and donate items and stuff. And you get some shots of Molly's room, and you get like one really cool panoramic shot of Andy's room where he's kind of looking around and thinking to himself, what he's going to keep and what he's going to get rid of, because he's going off to college. So we do get some cool references there, and that meant that I was able to replicate quite a bit of the interior for the upstairs portion at least. The rest of it, really my own design, but I think it's a cute little home. So just to explain myself a little bit better, this house will fit perfectly on the same lot that we originally built the first Toy Story home on. So that is actually where we are building right now. You can literally just go on the gallery and replace the lot and just download this one when you feel like the house is getting to be a little bit too crammed for your Davis family. Or you can just keep the original one if you are somebody who doesn't want to play the Disney save with aging on. I completely understand. When I'm testing the save, I always have aging off because I'm always worried, of course, that characters are going to age up past the point of recognition. But if you intend to actually play the save file and maybe use like this household for parenthood, you do need the space to be able to have your family grow up a little bit. So I just wanted to make sure that that was provided for those of you who want a little bit more of an immersive gameplay experience for the Disney save. And if you did miss my other video from Forgotten Hollow, I talked about it more in that video, but that's essentially the plan for Forgotten Hollow, which means that we will end up with 2 versions of Forgotten Hollow, and that is a lot of choice for many of you. Some of you have already said that you don't know how you're going to pick between the 2 options for the 2 versions of Forgotten Hollow, and I totally feel you on that one, because at the end of the day, I still have to pick a version that I am primarily going to play with when the save file is over. But I do feel like this is a cool way to maybe do some extra ideas that wouldn't have made it into the save file otherwise. One thing that does make this home very different compared to the original Davis family home is that this one has a backyard instead of a side yard, and I actually believe that the original home never had a side yard. I just added that because it kind of fit well into the lot. It probably would have been right very close to Sid's house. I believe that's actually their neighbor when you're facing the home off to the left. So ideally I would have been able to put the 2 homes right next to one another, but I ended up having a lot of room on the lot, so I did add a side yard, but this one has a backyard. So that means that we have a little bit more space for some stuff that maybe you guys want to add. I did use terrain on this speed build, and I almost never use terrain. I'm not a really big fan of how the terrain system in the game works. Not to say that we won't be using it a lot in the near future, especially for like my castle builds and some bigger builds and just some things that I feel like are going to really need the terrain. But I tend to try to avoid using it. Just because I don't like the way that the system works, and quite frankly, it just doesn't really work the way that you would expect it to. It's not as good as like terrain systems in Planet Zoo, for example, or other previous renditions of The Sims. So I try to avoid it at all costs, but one really cool trick that you can do when you're trying to do a attached garage, but you do want them to be at slightly different levels, which again is another mechanic of the game that you really can't do without glitching. You can just raise up the portion in front of the garage to kind of attach it to the home at an incline. Theoretically, it would be a driveway. You would drive a car up in it if we had cars. If we ever get that update to The Sims 4, of course, I'm going to have a lot of updating to do myself where I have to go back and change a lot of houses in the Disney save just to accommodate for that. And I do fully plan and expect that that will be the case at some point. When I'm going to be putting out this video, we're actually getting a new announcement for an expansion pack next week. And expansion packs are always really detrimental for me just because I have to kind of plan how is this expansion pack going to work with everything that I've already created and how do I work it into what we are going to be doing in the future. And it's not really like a bad thing. It just means that I have to add it in and take a slightly different direction. So of course it always requires a bit of planning, but I am excited regardless. I really am so excited to hopefully get a new world. I don't know if that'll be the next one that we jump into. Like I mentioned, we are currently in Forgotten Hollow and we have 2 versions of that to work on, and that's going to take me quite a bit of time. But I could picture possibly moving into the new world. It entirely depends on what it is, what the theme is, and what kind of a world we're talking about, or lack thereof, because Seasons did actually not come with a world, so maybe it's that kind of an expansion pack. You really never know with the Sims team, so we'll see. Let me know down below in the comment section what you think the next expansion pack is going to be, or what you hope it's going to be. I've said this in so many videos, but just for those of you who have never heard me say it, I really would love an amusement park themed pack. It doesn't have to be an expansion pack, but I would love to be able to build amusement parks, carnivals, games like street festivals, that kind of stuff, maybe even like a circus type of aesthetic, and have more activities in general for your Sims to do, like a really new, cool, interactive place like an amusement park where maybe you have a Ferris wheel and little roller coasters. And I would love for it to be super customizable, obviously, so that I could build some really cool stuff. Maybe even do like a mini Disneyland on a super large lot and put it in the save file. That would be so cool. So that's definitely my biggest wish for the save file. Something I do want to address while I have a moment in this video, a lot of you have been asking me about Evergreen Harbor townies. So I am currently finished with my Evergreen Harbor townies. Like I said in those videos, they can change. I could end up moving them at some point or another. But a lot of you were asking, why didn't I do Bo Peep, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, and the aliens? And the reason is simply because I do plan to have them in the save file, but I just wanted them to be in a different location. I think that we are going to have a few more Toy Story themed lots only because I wanted to have an actual home for Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, and if we ever do get a farming pack, I would love to do a little ranch-style home for Bo Peep or something to that regard. So I'm hoping to make them, like, more a part of the save file instead of a townie, and that means that I had to wait until later on. I also do want to do a pizza planet, and I would like to put maybe all three of those ideas in the same world to kind of round out all 4 of the Toy Story movies. And I know that sounds like a lot, but with us getting new worlds all the time, and some of these larger worlds having so many lots, I really feel like I can get away with doing a lot of different ideas. So don't worry if they are some of your favorite characters and you are one of the people who has been asking me literally everywhere in my comments and in Discord. I plan to put them in the save file. And if they don't end up getting homes, I will go back and add them as townies or Sims that actually just live in Evergreen Harbor with the rest of the Toy Story characters. So they will come at some point. I did not skip them, and I actually love Bo Peep, and I loved the new Toy Story movie, so I definitely want to do a version of her and have her be available for, like, a romantic relationship with Woody as well. We are starting on the final part of the speed build here. This is Andy's bedroom. It's actually very similarly designed to the original bedroom that he had in his first home, and I had to make a little bit of a change with the original wallpaper. So the wallpaper in this room is supposed to be blue with white trim and stars. And I think that that is actually the same as what it was at the end of the first Toy Story movie in the other home. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that that's what it ended up being after he got Buzz and added, like, all of the Buzz decor to his room. It seems like when they moved here, they just, like, redid the walls the same color. But we didn't have any little star decals. We had a couple that had, like, Freezer Bunny holding a star, and it wasn't really going to work, so I did have to replace it with the clouds, which is more of what I think of when I think of Andy's room and what it originally started out like when he first starts out in the movie. So I thought it was a cool little happy medium. I use those decals. I think they're from Parenthood. They might be base game. And size them up and down and just put them all over the walls and trying to make it look like some kind of a wallpaper versus just like a blue bedroom. And then his room is just like this very cluttered teen room mess. It looks like obviously he's grown up in this room. He has like layers and layers of posters on the wall where you can see that he is sort of aging through time, and it starts with these little drawings and stuff that he's done when he's a kid, and he kind of covers them in posters of bands and skateboarding and things that he is interested in as he gets a little bit older. So it's very messy in here. It's definitely supposed to be like your average teen room, and the toys are obviously not going to be as prominent as they are in the original home because obviously they are in like a toy box, but he still does keep his toy box all the way up until he goes to college, and it is still in his bedroom. So we have the same toy box that I believe I used in the other house used in here, and putting them like in the main part of the room. There was a side of the room that I actually couldn't see according to the movie, so I sort of had to make it up and just use the space the way that I felt like was the most appropriate, but we ended up fitting everything that you would need in here for just like your average sim, a closet, a little cool nook area, like those things that you would find in a home that are already sort of built into the walls that you kind of have to deal with on your own as far as like bedrooms go. And Molly's room was a little bit small as well, so I did want to give her just a little bit more space. The mother's bedroom is actually downstairs, and the bathroom is downstairs as well. And then it leads into like a kitchen, dining, and the kitchen is rather small, but it is very modern. So modern appliances, not too many cupboards, very nicely lit, light wood tones, white, stuff like that. Things that I would personally pick for a home like this. And we will have some screenshots at the end of the video if you are interested in what the rest of the house looks like. But I actually didn't include too much of the downstairs for the speed build, if any at all. I really just felt like the exterior and Molly and Andy's room were probably the most important when it came to the build today. And that is going to make it a little bit shorter, and that's great for me because my last video was very, very long. But I do recommend that you check it out if you haven't seen the first speed build of the new world yet. We are in Forgotten Hollow, and that's just so exciting. It's spooky season. It is going to be really fun. The first version of Forgotten Hollow I am working on is villains themed, so we are going to be doing a lot of classic villain characters, starting with Cruella de Vil and her home, and that is already up, so make sure that you go check that out and get up to date on all the information for that video. I also just want to reiterate that I will be making a tour video of Evergreen Harbor and re-explaining like this house versus the other one, all of the townies, and some changes that I did make to Evergreen Harbor. Like I added a dog to the Disney family, and I made like little changes here and there that I feel like get missed in videos because they happen after I do a speed build or after I do a creative sim. A lot of it is usually stuff that gets added in testing, or you guys will make recommendations to me in the comment section, and I do listen. I go through my comments and kind of pick out things that I think are really great ideas, or things that I may have missed based on you guys are just like Disney wizards and know literally everything. And obviously that's because everybody has like their one Disney movie that they literally know everything about. So that person will usually comment and be like, oh, you forgot this or should have done this. And I totally agree, and I want to bring in as many ideas as possible. So I do go back and add stuff like that when you guys make little comments here and there. So we're going to showcase some of that stuff off in the Evergreen Harbor tour video. I really can't put a date on it. I am thinking it's going to be towards the later part of October, and I'm so sorry about that, but we are still actually testing the world, and I want to be able to launch it the same day that I put the video out. So just something to look forward to. In the meantime, we will be working on Forgotten Hollow and version 1 of 2 of that. And I have some extra stuff for Forgotten Hollow that are really cool. We're going to be working with some cool occults over there as well that I haven't had an opportunity to use up until this point, like vampires and ghosts, and some cool little ghost hybrids, ghost dogs, ghost skeletons, skeleton townies, that kind of stuff that really doesn't have any other place in the save currently. So that'll be really exciting to be able to do. And lastly, for today's build, we do have Molly's bedroom, which I actually only really had one reference for. There's one scene where the mother goes in the room and asks her if she would be donating some stuff to, I think they're cleaning up the home and like getting rid of a lot of stuff. It looks like it's spring cleaning or something to that regard. And she is throwing a bunch of stuff in a box and kind of like sitting there reading a magazine. She is much, much older, probably a preteen, if not older, if Andy's going off to college. So you only get like the one shot. You can see the edge of her bed. She has like this white framed bed, and then you see like the one shelf that she's sitting in front of. But based on that alone, I felt like I could get a really good glimpse into what Molly's character is. She's probably going through that phase in her life where she's just like a little bit snobby, and it's only because she's just like moody. She's an early preteen. She's kind of annoyed all the time. She seems annoyed when her mom comes in her room, and she likes blue, pink, purple, bright colors. Her walls are pink with like little flowers all over them. And it wasn't a very large room in general, so we didn't have to do too much as far as decor goes. Again, I did use a lot of the stuff from Parenthood and basically just designed what I felt like would be a typical teen bedroom. Have her own wardrobe, and then use an area up for a computer, definitely. And I actually got to use that brand new chair in here, which was just in the last update to the base game, and that was the first opportunity I was able to use that chair. So including some new stuff in today's build. And that is actually going to be the end for today's speed build. I really hope you guys enjoy the little update to the Davis family home. Let me know what you think of the idea of doing some lot replacements in the comments section down below. If you would like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in my description box down below, or the one at the end of the video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post, and I will talk to you all in the next one.